Welcome to Acquired AI, where we decode the world's most iconic business success stories, powered by AI, crafted with precision, and delivered with captivating storytelling. In every episode, we'll take you behind the curtain of legendary companies, uncovering the strategies, turning points, and decisions that shaped their success. No fluff, no repetition, just sharp insights, compelling narratives, and a journey through the moments that made history. So sit back, tune in, and let's dive into another extraordinary story, right here on Acquired AI. Let's get started.
All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep into LVMH. That's the luxury empire.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a whole stack of like historical accounts and business analyses to dig through. So yeah, this is going to be fun.
You know what's really interesting about LVMH is that they embody this like tension between tradition and disruption. You got these brands, that are like centuries old, steeped in heritage and craftsmanship, but they're all part of this massive modern conglomerate that's always pushing the boundaries of what luxury can be.
I like that tension. All right, so let's rewind the clock. We're going back to post-World War II, Paris. The city is craving beauty escape, a fresh start. Then in 1947, Christian Dior unveils the new look.
Yeah.
Totally radical shift from wartime austerity.
Yeah, I think full skirts, cinched waists, luxurious fabrics, a complete 180 from like the practical wartime silhouettes. This wasn't just fashion, it was like a cultural statement.
Yeah.
A symbol of rebirth and optimism. That really resonated with a world that was yearning for beauty.
I mean, it makes sense. It wasn't just a feel-good story either. Dior's designs were a total hit financially. By 1949, his fashion house was responsible for something like 75% of Paris's fashion exports and 5% of France's entire export revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about a fashion revolution with an economic impact.
Totally. But then tragedy strikes in 1957. Dior died suddenly. You'd think that would be the end for the brand, right? But that's where things get really interesting. This young designer at the house, Yves Saint Laurent, steps in and helps solidify Dior's status as like an icon.
Yeah, this feels like a pivotal moment. It shows that a fashion house can outlive its founder, right? The brand itself becomes bigger than any one person.
Exactly. It sets the stage for what we see today with these luxury mega brands. But at this point, Dior was still part of this bigger company, the Boussac empire. And unfortunately, Boussac starts to crumble, leaving Dior vulnerable, ripe for a takeover.
And that's where Bernard Arnault comes in. Now, Arnault, he wasn't really a fashion guy. He came from a family of engineers and entrepreneurs.
It's interesting.
Yeah, total different background.
Yeah, Arnault's engineering mindset, I think that's really key to understanding how he approached luxury. He had this focus on efficiency, data, strategic thinking, which was pretty unusual in the fashion world at the time.
Yeah, he even had this experience in America, where he learned about leveraged buyouts, LBOs. The story might be a little bit of a legend, about Arnault talking to a New York cab driver. And the driver recognized the name Dior, but had no idea who the French president was.
Wow.
Yeah, it shows you the global power of these brands even back then.
Totally. So Arnault, he saw the potential of using those LBO tactics back in France. It's basically using borrowed money to acquire a company.
Right.
With the bet that you can increase the value and pay back the debt. Super high risk, high reward.
Risky.
Yeah.
And he sets his sights on the Boussac empire, sees that hidden gem within it, Christian Dior.
This is where Arnault's business sense really shines. He partners up with this investment bank, Lazard Frères, secures the funding, and outmaneuvers all his rivals to take control of Boussac. It's kind of like Warren Buffett's approach in a way, finding value where other people just see trouble.
I like that. And Arnault, he doesn't waste any time. He totally restructures Boussac, streamlining operations, selling off anything that wasn't core to the luxury biz. He even got the nickname the Terminator for his decisive, no-nonsense approach.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big change from the traditional way of doing business in France, especially in the luxury sector. Arnault is totally focused on efficiency and profitability.
Yeah, he had a vision. So now, with Dior under his control, Arnault sets his sights on an even bigger prize, LVMH. In 1987, Moet Hennessy and Louis Vuitton merge, creating this luxury giant.
But it wasn't all like champagne and roses, was it?
Well, not exactly. You had these clashing personalities, all these different visions within the newly formed LVMH. Alain Chevalier from the champagne and cognac side, and Henri Recamier, who was like the driving force behind Louis Vuitton's global expansion. They had very different ideas about the future.
Interesting. So this internal struggle, this clash of the titans, it creates an opening for Arnault, the ultimate opportunist.
He was?
Yeah, he quietly starts acquiring shares in LVMH, getting ready for a power play. This is classic Arnault, patient, strategic, and ready to pounce. Yeah. He used his financial skills and leveraged his assets to gain influence within LVMH. It was a gamble for sure, but Arnault, he thrives on that kind of risk.
Yeah, he's a risk taker. And he plays his cards perfectly. Through a bunch of really smart moves, Arnault outmaneuvers both Chevalier and Recamier, ultimately taking control of LVMH, cementing his position as the king of luxury. It's a story of ambition, calculated risks, and ultimately a vision for a global luxury empire, unlike anything the world had seen before.
And that's just the beginning. From here, Arnault's journey takes us through brand building, global expansion, and some pretty epic battles for control of the most coveted luxury houses. But that's a story for part 2 of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
So to really get Arnault's strategy, you have to understand Louis Vuitton. It wasn't just about pretty handbags. It was really Henri Recamier's vision.
Oh yeah, Recamier.
Yeah, he was the one who took Louis Vuitton from a niche trunk maker to a global powerhouse. He understood the growing market for luxury, and he was brilliant about controlling distribution to keep that feeling of exclusivity.
Yeah, make it feel like you can't have it.
Exactly. But he also had this amazing insight into the power of handbags, especially as luxury was changing. They weren't just accessories, they were symbols of status style, even the changing role of women in society.
Right, they were like statement pieces.
Exactly. And from a business point of view, handbags are amazing, simple to produce, no sizing issues like clothes, and they have huge profit margins.
That's so smart. So Arnault, he sees how brilliant this is.
Right. Arnault realized luxury could be scaled, even though individual brands needed to stay exclusive. A portfolio of brands like LVMH could take advantage of economies of scale in things like distribution, hiring, advertising.
So you get the best of both worlds. Centralized efficiency, but each house keeps its own identity and creativity.
Exactly. It was revolutionary. It let LVMH dominate. They got the best retail spots, negotiated amazing ad rates, and got the best talent.
All because of the power of the group.
Yeah?
But I'm guessing building an empire like this had some challenges, maybe some missed opportunities too.
Oh, for sure. And the story of Gucci is the perfect example. Family feuds a brand almost collapsing, and a battle that Arnault lost.
Wait, even Bernard Arnault, the king of luxury, missed out on a big acquisition. Tell me more.
So in the early 90s, Gucci was a mess. Family fighting, and they had watered down the brand. Arnault thought about buying it, but walked away. He even called it worthless, a decision he probably regretted.
I bet.
Yeah, especially because Tom Ford and Domenico De Sole came in and turned Gucci around. They made it the hottest name in fashion.
So what did Arnault do?
He saw a second chance. He tried a creeping takeover, buying up shares little by little to get control, trying to fly under the radar.
Smart but risky. I doubt De Sole and Ford just sat there.
No way. They fought back hard, did everything they could, even created an employee stock ownership plan. An ESOP.
An ESOP?
Yeah, it's like giving employees part ownership. It makes it harder for someone to take over.
Wow, that's clever. So Arnault's Gucci takeover failed.
Not completely.
Yeah.
His moves actually helped another luxury giant emerge, François Pinault and his company Kering.
So the enemy of my enemy.
Kind of like that. Pinault came in and bought Gucci, stopping Arnault. It was a big win for Pinault, and it made Kering a real player in luxury.
Wow, what a story. So much drama in the luxury world.
Totally. The Gucci story shows a few things. How powerful it is to revive a brand, how competitive luxury acquisitions are, and how important timing is. Even Arnault doesn't always get it right.
Fascinating. So after this Gucci thing, did Arnault just give up?
Not at all. He set his sights on another iconic brand, Hermès, famous for its leather goods and those Birkin bags.
Hermès.
Yeah.
The ultimate luxury brand.
Exactly. But getting Hermès wouldn't be easy. It was going to be a long game.
So how do you even approach buying a brand like Hermès? It's like they're famously independent and family-owned.
Yeah, it was a slow burn. Over a decade, he just quietly started buying up shares in Hermès, hoping to eventually get enough to control it. Classic Arnault. Patient and calculated. But this time he was up against a real challenge, the Hermès family. They were not going to let their legacy go without a fight.
Yeah, you got to admire that.
Yeah.
But did they underestimate Arnault?
Oh no, the Hermes family was not messing around. They saw right through it. And they launched a ton of legal challenges to stop him. It was like a battle of the titans, the king of luxury versus a family protecting their heritage.
So who won?
The Hermes family. They stopped Arnault, forced LVMH to sell their shares. It was a rare loss for Arnault. But it shows how strong family control can be, especially for these heritage brands.
Wow. Even the most powerful guy can't always get what he wants.
Right. It shows the limits of Arnault's power.
Yeah.
And that family businesses are still super important in luxury.
So what did Arnault do next?
He looked across the Atlantic to Tiffany & Co., that iconic American jeweler.
Tiffany's.
Yeah, in 2019, Arnault managed to buy Tiffany, added another huge name to LVMH. It wasn't easy, though. Lots of back and forth on the price. Even the French government got involved.
I bet it's tricky merging two big brands like that.
Yeah.
Each one has its own history and style.
It was definitely a balancing act. But LVMH is good at this, revitalizing these old brands. They bring in their marketing and distribution expertise, and they know how to grow globally.
But they still respect the brand's heritage.
Exactly. And with Tiffany, you can see how LVMH can take an American icon and make it part of their global empire.
So let's fast forward to today. LVMH is this giant in the luxury world.
Yeah, they've got 75 houses, more than 6,000 stores all over the world, over $80 billion in revenue every year, profits of over $20 billion.
It's amazing what Arnault built.
It really is.
But what about the future? What challenges does LVMH face?
That's a great question. Every business has to adapt, even a giant like LVMH. They have to keep up with how consumers change, what's happening in the economy, and global events.
So what are they worried about?
One big thing is China. The Chinese market has been huge for luxury brands, but what if that slows down or gets less predictable? Politics, the economy, even just changes in taste could really hurt LVMH.
Makes sense. Can't rely on just one market.
Exactly. And then there's the question of who comes next. Bernard Arnault is still in charge, but he's not getting any younger. What happens when he steps down? Can his kids lead the company like he did? That's what a lot of people are wondering.
It's a big question for any family business.
It is. But this whole deep dive, it makes you think about the future of the luxury industry itself.
Yeah, what does that look like?
Well, there are a few things happening. Sustainability is becoming super important. Consumers want brands that are ethical. Especially younger people, they care about a brand's values, not just how things look.
So it's about doing good, too.
Right. And technology is changing everything. Luxury brands are using e-commerce, augmented reality, personalized experiences, even the metaverse.
Wow. So luxury is going digital.
Definitely. And then there's the rise of new luxury consumers, especially in places like China, India, Brazil. As those economies grow, more people can afford luxury, and they have their own tastes and culture.
So brands have to adapt to that.
Yeah. And one more thing. Experiences are becoming really important. Luxury isn't just about owning stuff anymore. It's about making memories, trying new things, having unique experiences.
That's a whole lifestyle.
Exactly. Luxury brands are getting into travel, exclusive events, personalized services. It's all about going beyond just the product.
So we've seen how LVMH grew, learned about the world of luxury, and even got a glimpse of the future. What are the big lessons here?
I think one of the biggest is the power of vision. Arnault knew what he wanted, to create a global luxury empire. And he worked at it for decades, making smart acquisitions, taking risks, understanding the market.
It's about thinking long term.
Definitely. And building a strong brand. It's so important in today's world. It makes you stand out, builds trust with customers, and lets you charge more for your products.
It's more than just a logo.
Way more. It's about telling a story, connecting with people, and delivering on your promises.
And LVMH shows how to innovate but still respect tradition.
Yeah, the luxury market is always changing, but it's still about heritage and quality. LVMH stays ahead by using new technology, adapting to consumers, and redefining what luxury means.
So honoring the past, but looking to the future. Well, this has been an amazing journey, exploring LVMH and the whole luxury industry. I feel inspired to go build my own empire now. Maybe not luxury, but with that same vision and drive.
I'm glad.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
That wraps up this episode of Acquired AI, where AI meets business storytelling to uncover the secrets behind iconic success stories. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter on LinkedIn for exclusive episode briefings, timelines, quizzes, and more insights delivered straight to your inbox. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us reach more curious minds like yours. And of course, join us again next week as we dive into another legendary business story. This episode was proudly brought to you by Ashy Holding, where vision meets excellence. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you on the next episode of Acquired AI.